Shifting Gears with Alan Bailey.
I really enjoy the smell of burnt rubber and race fuel in the morning. Sue me.
Whether it's NASCAR, IndyCar, NHRA drag racing, or AMA Supercross, we've got it.
I'm going to be unapologetic. I'm not going to hold back. I'm not going to sugarcoat it, and I'm going to tell it like it is, whether you like it or not. Get over it.
Grab a gear and let's go.
Well, is it time to go already? Really?
You're Shifting Gears on ARN. Here's Alan Bailey.
Welcome on in to Shifting Gears right here on ARN, the American Racing Network, your motorsports authority. I'm Alan Bailey. You can get in on this conversation on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at the Alan Bailey is those handles. And you can also use the hashtag ARNRace to get involved in this conversation as well. See, we're not even a minute into the program, and I'm already having brain farts. What can I say? I've been getting over a cold. Believe it or not, it's May 14, 2014. I got sick over the weekend. Go figure. About a week ago, I started coughing and feeling not good. My voice went out a week ago. I didn't think I was going to be here. And over the weekend, I literally spent it in bed. But that was okay. I saw a lot of great racing from my couch and from my bed. So that was not a bad gig, actually. Sitting there going, honey, I can't do anything. I'm working. I'm watching the race. I'm so sorry. I'm watching Kansas. I have to watch the race. I'm sorry, honey. It's the first ever Grand Prix of Indianapolis. I have to watch it. It's work. And I'm sick. I have a hard life. But I will muster through this program as best as I can. See, that was the first one. Not bad. I'm going to try to get through it as best I can. We'll see where I am on the flip side of it. Hopefully somewhat better than when I went in. So lots of interesting news and notes to get to, and we start all that with our hot topics. First off, Parker Kligerman has been announced that he will be the backup driver for Kurt Busch in the number 41 Haas Automation Chevy SS during not only the Sprint All-Star race this weekend in Charlotte, but next weekend's Coca-Cola 600, as Kurt Busch is going to attempt to do the double, running the Indianapolis 500 on Sunday the 25th and running the Coca-Cola 600 in Charlotte later that day. Both NASCAR and Indy both supporting him on this one, and we should too. We'll get into his double header a little bit later on in this program. Also, speaking of the Indy 500, Andretti Autosports teammate E.S. Velos and, yes, Kurt Busch were speed demons at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway yesterday when heavy rain arrived at 1:30 p.m. They also led the field with a blistering lap of 124.48 miles per hour. Busch was second with 224.159 miles per hour. This is the first IndyCar event where the two of the Andretti Autosports drivers were also fourth and fifth on this one, with Ryan Hunter-Reay and Marco Andretti respectively. There's still no major incidents to report during Indianapolis testing so far this month, but unfortunately there have been incidences. Oh yeah, you know where I'm going with this one. A big incident to start the first ever Indianapolis Grand Prix. It saw what was the pole sitter, young rookie, actually not going. He just plain out didn't go on the start. The gentleman who was starting on the pole did not go, which ultimately led to one heck of a pileup. Yeah, unfortunately. And we saw that scary crash at the beginning, which collected a number of different race cars on lap 1 before they even got to the start-finish line. What was even more alarming than the crash was the fact that people were injured during that crash. Most notably, the Indianapolis mayor was hit by debris during the Grand Prix of Indianapolis' start. Yes, believe it or not, what happened to be the problem was that Mayor Baller was on the flag stand waving the green flag to the inaugural Grand Prix of Indianapolis when pole sitter Sebastian Saavedra was hit on the front stretch by Carlos Munoz and then by a number of other drivers. The high impact sent parts and pieces from their cars spread throughout the air at high rates of speed. And yes, according to Indy Star, an unidentified object struck the mayor in the elbow, according to a mayoral spokesperson. Now, he was treated at the scene for minor scrapes and bruisings, but did not require stitches. The mayor left the track after the incident and watched the race from home. We're hearing today that on Wednesday he is home right now and he's fine. No major incidents to report. But Indy is still considering whether they want to continue with their standing starts. Oh yeah, we're talking about this one a little bit later in greater detail. You bet your bottom dollar. And that carbon fiber strip across the helmet was tested in a big way over the weekend, also at the Grand Prix of Indianapolis. Believe it or not, rookie Martin Plowman tweeted a scary image from the inaugural Grand Prix of Indianapolis. The number 41 AJ Foyt Enterprises car may have made it through the opening lap in the carnage in Indianapolis unscathed, but the Brit was able to drive it home to an 18th place. His helmet, however, tells a very different story. If you want to take a look at the picture, go ahead and log on to arnrace.com. The damage to Plowman's helmet was caused by a piece of debris flying from the crash at the starting line of the 2014 Grand Prix of Indianapolis. Sebastian Saavedra stalled from the pole position on the starting grid and was hit by two cars from behind. Later in the race, James Hinchcliffe was forced to retire after suffering a concussion as well during this race due to a piece of debris hitting his helmet in a separate incident. Carbon fiber strips such as the one that was tested here on Plowman's incident may be mandatory in the IndyCar series. And if you want to take a look at the gash on that strip, again, arnrace.com. It's a major talking point on the program today. And in the NASCAR Nationwide Series, bit of a driver shuffle, if you will. Yeah, believe it or not, Turner Scott Motorsports announcing that the number 42 car of Kyle Larson will undergo a driver change in the NASCAR Nationwide Series during standalone races this season, placing Dylan Kwasniewski behind the wheel of the number 42 up and up by Target at 5 different events in 2014. Current Camping World Truck Series driver for Turner Scott, Chase Pistone, will replace Kwasniewski at Iowa Speedway in the number 31 Chevrolet Camaro. Kwasniewski currently drives the number 31 Rockstar Energy Drink Chevrolet for Turner Scott Motorsports in the NASCAR Nationwide Series and was recently announced as a Chip Ganassi with Felix Sabates development driver. Pistone is no stranger to racing. He is a racer built of Legends cars and super late models. Pistone helped to develop and field several drivers from his North Carolina shop, Chase Pistone, Inc. The grandson of Tiger Tom Pistone, the 30-year-old driver, has won previous NASCAR Nationwide Series start and has competed in both the Pro Cup and in the ARCA Racing Series, where he's claimed top 10 finishes in his ARCA debut at the Iowa Speedway. Although the number 31 and 42 cars will undergo driver changes at these select events, the crews and the crew chiefs will remain the same, with Kwasniewski under the direction of Scott Zipadelli and Pistone under the direction of Pat Trison at Iowa Speedway. And Target, we learned today, is expanding its sponsorship of NASCAR's Nationwide Series to include the Up and Up brand as the primary sponsor on the number 42 Turner Scott Motorsports Chevy Camaro for 5 races. The Up and Up brand will make its track debut during this weekend's Get to Know Newton 250 presented by Sherwin-Williams NASCAR Nationwide Series race at the Iowa Speedway. Dylan Kwasniewski will drive the number 42 car, the number 42 Up and Up Chevrolet, to fill in for Kyle Larson during these 5 events. To check out an image, you can go ahead and check out the ARN Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook handles at ARN Race. Kind of a cool white and green paint scheme for that number 42 car. I encourage you to check it out. These are the hot topics that we'll be talking about over the course of the next hour. This Hot Topics, brought to you by our friends at Apollo Aesthetics. If you're looking to build a brand new website or give life to a current website or even get your business online and doubling your revenue, go ahead and log on to ApolloAesthetics.com. Tell them ARN sent you for a special gift. That's ApolloAesthetics.com. I'm Alan Bailey from the ARN News Desk in Southern California.
This is ARN, the American Racing Network.
Hey guys, this is your buddy Lugnuts, and if you're looking to build a great website, then look no further than Apollo Aesthetics. Art and functionality merged into web design. It doesn't get any better than Ruben Asuna. Don't believe me? Check out ApolloAesthetics.com. That's Apollo, AESTHETICS.com. Apollo Aesthetics, the official web builder of Lugnuts Radio.
What is one NASCAR Unites wristband capable of doing? It can inspire a child to go farther in school. It can construct a brand new playground for kids who've never had one. It can introduce a child with a serious illness to his or her favorite NASCAR driver.
I'm Tony Stewart, and I wear my band to Unite for Kids. Band together with me by logging on to www.nascar.com/unites to pledge your support.
This is ARN, the American Racing Network. Shifting Gears on ARN is presented by Stash Feed. Get the feed. Log on to stashfeed.com, your daily manly feed. Your Shifting Gears on ARN, the Motorsports Authority. Here's Alan Bailey.
The Twitter handle, @TheAlanBailey. You can also use the hashtag ARNRace to get in on this conversation. This one coming to me on Facebook, actually. This one from Tom, actually, on Facebook. It reads, Alan, seriously, standing starts suck. Where am I going with that one? I'm thinking NASCAR, but it really says IndyCar needs to stop doing this. Why are we going back in time when we need to go forward? That's a good question. Honestly, I like the whole standing start idea. I like the concept of it. It's kind of retro. It's cool. It's in the spirit of IndyCar. But at the same time, I think that it should only be done on certain racetracks that are open enough, and that if something like this were to happen, that we would be able to that drivers rather would be able to see the problem and correct the problem, or at least get out of the way. When everything went to hell over the weekend, there was virtually nothing that could be done at all. I mean, when everything happened right there at the beginning of the race, there was nothing that you could do. There was absolutely nothing. It was one of those things where you just kind of had to stand back and just kind of relax. I mean, Sebastian Saavedra, he was rolling during the warm-up laps, the car was working during the warm-up laps, and then there was a mechanical failure. And something happened, the car didn't get going when everybody else got going, and then it was all hell at that point, and it was not a good situation for anyone involved. And honestly, we're extraordinarily lucky that the mayor of Indianapolis is the biggest victim, if you will, by this from a physical standpoint, because honestly, it had the potential to be a very, very bad situation. If one of those cars got airborne, if it got into the fence, if there were fans in that area, it could have gotten very ugly very, very quick, and thankfully nothing major happened. It was an incident that mostly stayed on the racing surface, but still it was a very scary situation. And I got this tweet too, which just kind of irks me. This one coming on Twitter, Alan, Munoz shouldn't have done that. It was a rookie mistake, and he caused the accident. No, he didn't. No, he didn't. Munoz was the guy who was on the... I'm all twisted. Yeah, he was on the inside. I'm twisted around because of the reverse start, honestly, the reverse layout. But he was on the inside, and basically, he saw that cars were stacking up. He didn't know that they were that there was a stopped race car. He, at the last minute, moved. He clipped Saavedra's car, and then it was on from there. Nothing he could have done. The spotters didn't react quick enough, or they couldn't have relayed that information quick enough, whatever you want to go with that one. And really, it's one of those things where there's a stopped race car, I mean, time it right now. Ready, set, go. Crash. That's what we're talking about. That's the time difference. It was that quick. It was that abrupt, and it was that violent that it was that much of a crash. And honestly, I think that IndyCar seriously has to look into the carbon fiber strips for the helmets. Those need to be mandated immediately, starting with the Indianapolis 500. This is a race where, honestly, it's something that's not going to detract because it's the Indianapolis 500. IndyCar can virtually put this out in a memo to the racing teams. Hey, this is a thing. You have to wear these carbon fiber strips. It's a thing. The only thing that I would do is I would look into a stronger substance. I know that IndyCar is looking at this. It's something that they've been developing for a little while, so I know that they're being smart about it, but something that they honestly need to do is consider something to keep these drivers safer from head injuries. I'm not opposed to doing some kind of, I don't want to say roll cage, but some kind of shielding of some sort, so that way the drivers aren't completely exposed to the elements, because in events like these, there's really nothing that can be done. These guys are out there, they're exposed, it's very dangerous. IndyCar's doing as much as they can in the past years, and in recent history, they've come through with great strides to the race cars. I think that the current chassis and the current design of the race car probably is the greatest innovation in motorsports in North America in the last 20 years as far as safety is concerned, next to the safer barrier and next to the Hans device. But that is a step. It's going to continue to be a stepping stone. You're either growing or you're shrinking in this world. You're either getting bigger or smaller, and something that IndyCar, NASCAR, NHRA, every major form of motorsports does this. They do this, and they continue to do it. They continue to head up research and development, not only because they want to make the product better on the racetrack, but they want to make it safer for the drivers. They want to keep them safe. They don't want them to get hurt. You look at everything that NASCAR's done with their car of tomorrow. You look at everything that's happened with Top Fuel, with their new chassis and their new configuration. You look at everything that's happened in IndyCar with their new cars. We've come a long way, guys. A long, long, long way. Even 5-10 years ago. It's 1,000 times safer. Is it good enough? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. The moment you think you're safe when you're behind the wheel of a race car, whether it's in NASCAR, IndyCar, NHRA, or even if you're on a bike in Supercross or motocross, it doesn't matter. The moment you think you're safe and you let your guard down is when you're going to get hurt. There's still a threat. This is still a dangerous sport. It always will be a dangerous sport. And the ability of these drivers, male or female, black or white, whatever your ethnicity is, I don't care, your ability as a race driver or as a rider to control these out-of-control machines is something that is to be applauded. If anyone could get into an Indy car, into a stock car, into a dragster, onto a bike and go out there and win and dominate, we wouldn't be watching. There's selected few human beings on this earth that can race a stock car in NASCAR, that can race an IndyCar in the IndyCar series, that can wield a dragster down that racetrack and actually get that hot rod to go fast, according to John Force's lingo there. And there's few people on this earth, male or female, that can actually hop onto a bike and fly through the air, whether it be in Dodger Stadium, Anaheim Stadium, it doesn't matter, and go absolutely nuts trying to get that bike to go faster in order to win a Supercross championship, let alone 4 in a row. So there's a certain line that you have to walk between making it safe and making it easy. These bikes, these cars will never be easy. They will never be 100% safe, but the closer that we can get, the better. There's still a threat, there's still a possibility of injury. And as long as that possibility is there, safety will always be something that IndyCar, NASCAR, NHRA, and AMA will always continue to work forward and stride upon. That's just a plain fact of the matter. And yeah, I thought the story that I wanted to bring this up to, because I thought it was probably one of the coolest, if not the coolest story I've seen in the last 5-6 years, whatever, that I've been, doing this whole radio bit. I've been doing it 6 years now. That's how long I've been doing this. Yes, Mario Andretti, 1969 Indy 500 champ. He took a 102-year-old for a ride. That is so cool. It is unbelievable. First off, I'm extraordinarily jealous. Please, I beg of you, take me, Mario. Mario, can you take me on a ride in a 2-seater around the Indianapolis Motor Speedway? Please? Heck, give me what? I don't care. Give me a little moped or a scooter. Give me a tricycle or or what do they call those things? Those big wheeler things that you get when you're a toddler. Give me one of those around the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. I'll be set. Oh yeah. In case you missed the story, I'm looking at it right here on ARN Race. Edith Pindler climbed into the cockpit and climbed out of it a few laps later and thanked Mario Andretti for the high-speed 2-seater IndyCar ride around the historic Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Nearly 40 family members gathered trackside on the 13th, yesterday actually, to cheer on the resident of Indiana to mark the occasion. Her son, Jay, actually said, quote, "She did this when she was younger, 96. I love that, man. I mean, it goes to show you. It's something that I kind of preach off the air to family and friends. Age is a number, guys. I mean, as long as you're having fun, as long as your body can keep going in some way, shape, or form, you're going to have fun. And yeah, I'm counting the 101-year-old that threw out the first pitch at, I believe it was, where was it, Yankee Stadium? I forget where it was the other day for Mother's Day. That was cool, too. But honestly, she had a blast, and to see the photos of her and Mario next to the 2-seater, that was really cool. And to see, they took a giant panoramic photo of all of her family that came down to see her, and it's really cool because you have, obviously you have Mario and you have Edith right there who are posing next to the car, right next to the front tire. You have the car, and then behind the car you have at least 40, 45 family members, and it's just really, really, really cool. This one is coming from one of her granddaughters. Quote, "My grandmother is an amazing woman for so many reasons. She has always been a true pioneer, breaking out of the norm and the mismatch of the entire family. Love her and so proud of another one of her accomplishments." That one came yesterday on our website. Very, very, very cool. Honestly, if you've ever been for a ride in a race car, whether it's an Indy car, whether it's NASCAR, anything, you know that it is such a thrill. It is insanely cool. I've done a couple of race car rides and things like that. They're insanely cool as it is. Probably one of the coolest things that I've ever, the coolest thing that I've ever, or the closest thing rather, that I've ever come to a ride along was when I was with Brett Bodine. I've done it the last 2 years actually. I hope I get to do it this next coming year, Brett. That'd be kind of cool. 2 years ago, I got to actually get into one of the pace cars out here at the Auto Club Speedway with Brett Bodine before a NASCAR race, and he took us for a ride at 160 miles an hour. And at 160 miles an hour in a passenger car around the Auto Club Speedway, your teeth are kind of chattering, and you're sitting there thinking, man, I'm barely holding on for dear life here. This is shaky. This is sketchy as all heck gets out. What am I doing? What is going on right now? And you look over, and Brett has one hand on the steering wheel. He's got that seat kind of propped back a little bit, and he's going for a Sunday drive. And Oh, by the way, he's just talking like it's no big deal. So right around here, you could feel the bumps. It's bumping all over the place. I'm barely holding on. And keep in mind, he's got his hands resting on his hand rests. He's in a reclined position. He's got one hand just hanging there, one hand holding onto that steering wheel. Keep in mind, 160. And he's kind of just half driving it. He's kind of just got that Miss Daisy. I'm holding it at 7 o'clock. Yeah, this is going down the backstretch, and as we get on into turn 3 here, and he just barely turns that wheel a little bit, and I'm sitting there thinking, I could die here. This is how I could die. That was a very, very, very cool ride. Brett's a trained NASCAR professional driver. There's a reason he drives that pace car, and yeah, he absolutely is a master of it, and I absolutely love and adored that ride around the Speedway. I've done a few laps around the Auto Club Speedway. I've done a few at the Irwindale Speedway, and I absolutely, absolutely love every darn second of it. It is so cool, just all the way around. It is amazingly cool. Now, what we'll do here is we'll go ahead and break here. We got Radioactive over the weekend out of Kansas. Lots of interesting moments from Kansas in NASCAR. We'll shift gears here a little bit, talk NASCAR a little bit when we get back from the break. We're going to double back to IndyCar, though. It is May, my friends. Of course, we're going to talk IndyCar. It is May, for crying out loud, and it's Indianapolis. How can we not talk about this? I mean, come on. We're going to talk about it. We're going to take you out to the track. We're going to get you updates from out at the racetrack. They were on the track earlier today. We'll get you the rundown of everything that's going on down there. This just in, Pagano cracking 126 miles an hour, 9 cars over 125 in this session earlier today out at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, getting ready for the 98th running of the Indianapolis 500 next Sunday. And it's going to be one heck of a ride, I can promise you that. We'll give you the rundown when we return, but first, after we come back from break, we'll get Radioactive. Guess what, my friends? You're right here on ARN. My name is Alan Bailey. You're shifting gears.
This is ARN, the American Racing Network.
Hey guys, it's your buddy Lugnuts, and if you're looking to build a great website, then look no further than Apollo Aesthetics. Art and functionality merged into web design. It doesn't get any better than Ruben Asuna. Don't believe me? Check out ApolloAesthetics.com. That's Apollo, AESTHETICS.com. Apollo Aesthetics, the official web builder of Lugnuts Radio.
What is one NASCAR Unites wristband capable of doing? It can inspire a child to go farther in school. It can construct a brand new playground for kids who've never had one. It can introduce a child with a serious illness to his or her favorite NASCAR driver.
I'm Tony Stewart. I wear my band to Unite for Kids. Band together with me by logging on to www.nascar.com/unites to pledge your support.
Army Specialist Andrew Pike became paralyzed while serving in Iraq.
My injury was a gunshot wound to the left abdomen from a sniper. My first contact with paralyzed veterans was in Walter Reed.
Paralyzed veterans National Service Officer Michael Killen.
We try to reassure them what benefits are out there, try to educate them and take some of that stress away from them.
Right now I'm going back to school to earn a degree, and I'm just spending time with my wife and child.
You can help our paralyzed veterans. Visit pva.org.
Hi, I'm Jeff Hammond alongside NASCAR driver David Reagan.
When it comes to tire safety, nothing is more important than your tire's air pressure.
Just like a pit stop, checking your air pressure takes just a few moments.
And those few moments will not only keep you and your family safe on the road, it can also help save you money.
Properly inflated tires can improve gas mileage, which will save you money at the pump.
So be tire smart and make sure your tires are properly inflated.
Learn more at betiresmart.org. A message from the Rubber Manufacturers Association.
This is ARN, the American Racing Network.
Now it's time for one of my favorite segments. Let's get Radioactive, NASCAR Nation, as we start with number 5.
off on me. Does like a moron every week.
Number 4.
That's your bumper. You see him? Hold on till here, though. More coming. Got a wreck. Big wreck. Yeah, it's a mess. So what happened there? The 34 hit us? He got loose off before. 38 was trying to get underneath of us there at the same time. He had nowhere to go.
Number 3.
8's went out on the backstretch. Can you see? Yeah, we can see. I don't know if the spotters can see us. Oh, yeah, he can see you fine.
There's a football game, right? That the lights went out or something? Oh, no. It was the Super Bowl, actually.
You're going to be a leader, man. Hopefully that lights come back on here sometime soon.
Number 2.
Stacking up at the top here. Be alert here. The 38 nailed him. I mean hard. 47 lost it. Started all that. You alright?
Yeah, I'm good. Just out of breath.
Not sure what went on there, but I think somebody watched Days of Thunder last night.
Number 1.
Coming to the checker. Watch your mirror now. 3 back. Woo! Great job today, guys. How does that feel, boys? That weight that just lifted off of our shoulder.
Jeff Gordon's dramatic victory over the weekend.
Shifting Gears on ARN is presented by Apollo Aesthetics. Log on to Apollo Aesthetics to start building your new website today. You're Shifting Gears on ARN, the Motorsports Authority. Here's Alan Bailey.
Lots of interesting moments from this past weekend out at the Kansas Speedway. Jeff Gordon picking up his 3rd win at the Speedway. Kind of a record for him. First Saturday night race out at the Speedway in Kansas. And guess what? He picks it up. He was also the first one to pick up a victory at the racetrack back in 2001, believe it or not, en route to a championship. Is that an omen? Is he going into another championship, maybe? It certainly feels that way. You look at Gordon, it's the first time he's led the point standings for more than 1 week, for the better part of 5 years. It's the first time that he has a win this early in the season for the better part of 6 years. It's the first time that he has this much of a point lead in the better part of a decade. This is something that Jeff Gordon is used to, but he hasn't been used to it lately. So you have to ask yourself, if there was any doubt that the 4-time champ has a 5th title in him, is this weekend and how he's running now evidence to that? Maybe, just maybe, Big Daddy might have another championship run left in him. I tend to think so. I tend to think Jeff might just have a championship run left in him. We know that Hendrick Motorsports can get the job done, and we know that he is more than capable of winning races, as we saw from this past weekend. So the question is NASCAR Nation ready for Jeff Gordon to step back into victory lane? Something that we played last week that I feel bears repeating this week is Jeff Gordon 20 years later. You flip the timetables back 20 years. And that's when he won his very first NASCAR Sprint Cup Series race. It was a little race in Charlotte that just so happened to be called the Coca-Cola 600. And yes, he was no stranger to victory lane, winning in the Nationwide Series and winning tons of times before that and coming very, very close before that. But now, 20 years later, you have to look back on Jeff Gordon's career and think, has it really, really been 20 years?
Checkers are out, and it is Jeff Gordon victorious on this Memorial Weekend at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. 122,000 people paying their respects to a 22-year-old youngster originally out of California who simply loves to race.
Please welcome the point leader of the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, Jeff Gordon.
All right, man. Good to see you, champ.
Good to see you. I need my Goodyear shoes on for this high bank. How are you, Mike? That was so cool. Thank you guys for doing this.
Wasn't that special?
And bringing back some amazing memories. Obviously, you could tell how special it was to me with the emotions that took over that day. You know, to get to the Cup Series and drive for Rick Hendrick was a dream come true. I never thought I'd win my first race at Charlotte. So, yeah, that's I can't believe it's also 20 years ago.
So these are your gloves from that night. And for some reason, you had taken these out of wherever John had them stowed away, and they were in your desk. And we had permission to pull him out of there and put him in this picture to commemorate 20 years of your first win. And it's a really special thing. You won 8 times, 8 cup races at Charlotte Motor Speedway. This has got a few pictures from different wins, but the special one is your first. And to have your gloves from that first night is a pretty cool thing, I thought.
Yeah, this means the world to me. You know, to have this car up here, to see that video, and that collage of pictures and the gloves is amazing, Marcus. So thank you very much.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Very, very, very cool moment from about a week ago. If you want to check out the entire video from that cool, I don't want to know if you want to, what you want to call it, but Jeff Gordon's first win in his car being unveiled at Glory Road in the NASCAR Hall of Fame, go ahead and log on to ARNrace.com. You can check out the full video there. So it bears just questioning. You look at Jeff Gordon and everything that happened at the 5-Hour Energy 400, you got to think, is this the new Jeff Gordon? For the past decade, give or take, he's been the guy who really will have the car on the long runs but not on the short runs. He can't get it going on the restarts, but he's really good on the long runs. He really can't get it done on those short runs, and the car sometimes goes away on those really, really long runs. This is typically the Jeff Gordon motto. Really good on the long runs, really short on the short, or really bad on the short runs. Is this the new Jeff Gordon, or did he kind of break out of that? Well, let's flip the timetables back, and let's check out what happened this last weekend.
Closing in on the command to fire engines and start tonight's race here at the Kansas Speedway.
It's going to be an endurance test. We're putting strain and stress on everything on this car, the tires, the driver, the engine.
There is a concern about the weather.
They evacuate. I feel like my safest place is Hooters. What do y'all think? I'd definitely stay up on top of that building.
Looking at my radar, it looks like the worst of it's going north. Go keep one more meteorologist. I got to put my 2 cents in, right? And I do have a $4.99 app, not a free one.
They're going to crank up the engines. All right. Fire and hold. 1, 2, 3.
Finally, we are underway at Kansas Speedway.
Oh, trouble on turn 4. 3 cars spinning together. Man, that was vicious. Green flag back in the air. Second place, Jeff Gordon. Came off that turn like he was shot out of a cannon.
We lost backstretch lights.
One of those nights, buddy.
Out the lights on the backstretch. Black car. I got this.
Trouble down here, turn 4.
Engulfed in flames is Jamie McMurray.
Get him out. Get him out.
What a heartbreaker, really.
107 laps remain.
Danica Patrick in this 10 car. This may be the best run I've seen her have.
That's right. Come on.
AJ Allmendinger spins, and Geyer and Gilliland have a horrible collision.
You all right?
Yeah, I'm good. Just out of breath. Holy crap, was that a hit?
It doesn't matter. I suck anyway, so part of the night. Oh, man, we got to finish this thing. Put it in the hauler.
Green flag flies again at Kansas Speedway.
Kevin Harvick leads Jeff Gordon by 2.8 seconds. For the 3rd lap in a row here, Gordon has been faster than Harvick.
Pitch his time. Pitch his time.
He was running some of his fastest laps because he knew he was getting ready to pit. And the leader is in, Kevin Harvick to the pit lane.
The f*** racing. They still got to pit. Stay calm, man. There ain't nothing you can do about it. You just got to keep going.
Alan Gustafson, did he make the winning call?
He's 2 now. Only the 2 car ahead of you. Then he just pit. You'll get the lead right here. White flag.
Kevin Harvick hasn't given up yet. Harvick makes one last run, but it is Jeff Gordon. He wins the 5-Hour Energy 400 at Kansas Speedway.
How does that feel, boys? That weight that just lifted it off of our shoulders.
No kidding. That's Jeff Gordon right there winning the 5-Hour Energy 400 over the weekend out at the Kansas Speedway first night race on Saturday night for that race. Bit of a schedule change in 2014. If you didn't notice, typically Mother's Day weekend went to the Lady in Black, but not this weekend. We were in Kansas. And this coming weekend, of course, it's the All-Star race, which leads into Charlotte and the Coca-Cola 600. So really great night of racing. The lights thing was just weird. It was very, very, very weird, for lack of a better term. But the thing that everybody wants to talk about, and I've been very vocal about my disdain for Danica Patrick. I don't hate her. I hate the media attention that she's gotten, and I hate that she's being held to a different standard of driver, and that people were expecting her to be good right out of the gate. When you need to step back and realize she's a person, not a she's a driver, but she's not. I don't want to call her, well, man, he's got a man. No, she's a driver. You look at her, she's a young driver. Despite her age, she's a young driver who doesn't have a lot of experience in stock cars. She's been here for a few years now. She's raced nationwide. She's raced some cup races part-time. She raced full-time last year. Very bad first year. Decent for a rookie, however. And this year is kind of the, well, are you going to get going, or is this going to take another couple of years, or is this just an experiment that's failing miserably? She has probably the best shot a woman, I can call it that. She's had the best shot that a woman has ever had to succeed in our sport. She has the highest, she had the highest finishing position of her career ever, not the highest finishing position of a woman in NASCAR yet. She beat that by 1 mark. She came home 7th. There's tons of factors that led into this weekend, and I'm not saying that this is a one-off, but part of that confidence probably comes from the fact that she has Kevin Harvick and, yes, Kurt Busch as new teammates. She definitely pulls a lot of her information from Tony, but her relationship with Tony Stewart is very different than any other teammate, simply because, oh yeah, by the way, he just happens to write her checks at the end of every race, and he is her boss, for lack of a better term. So that relationship is interesting. But you look at it, Danica really has 2 teammates that are level playing ground. She had Ryan Newman, and Ryan, he was there for her, but it doesn't seem like their driving styles really matched up at all. So it led to some conflict, I think, which ultimately is now no longer an issue. So I think that definitely her teammates gave her a new sense of confidence this year. She's got almost 60 starts. It's her first top 10 of the season, not on a restrictor plate. It's her best non-restrictor plate finish ever. It was a 7th place. It was a very decent race. She was always near the front, always just inside the top 10, but never really cracked the top 5 ever. But she was close. She came very close a couple of times. Her experience behind a stock car has definitely grown a lot this year, especially on the 1.5 mile tracks, which she's just figured out. Another fact is that Illinois' native driver and Gibson are basically known by many journalists as having repeat for a long time, that they basically just keep working on their feedback, working on the handling. They keep trying to make adjustments. All of these factors put together definitely contributed to Patrick's very competitive nature and very competitive car in Kansas. Maybe it's a little too early to be optimistic about her future performances, but it's definitely a sign of hope. Next weekend, this weekend, they're heading to the All-Star race. She's not in that race. She has to run the Open. And by the way, different scheduling for 2014 with the All-Star race. The Sprint Open, which typically has been right before the actual race itself on Saturday night, is now moved to Friday night. So Friday night, here's how it's going to happen. You're going to have practice for both. For the Cup Series, basically, for the Open and for the All-Star race. You're going to have qualifying for the truck race. You're going to have the actual Sprint Open, and then you're going to see the truck race all on Friday night. So, by the way, if you want to play hooky on Friday, if you're in the Charlotte area, I highly encourage it, because we're going to see some great racing at Charlotte on Friday. Very good ticket price right there. You get the Sprint Open and you get the truck race. Never mind, you have at least 2 practice sessions, and you're going to have the qualifying session for the trucks. Not a bad ticket, actually, considering it's just a truck race. But you will also, on Saturday night, see the actual race itself. I like this format a lot. A lot. I think it's cool to see it on a different day because we're going to really see and have that suspense and that mystery of who is going to make it in, and really you're going to get have these cars actually on a level playing field, these Sprint Open cars, which really had a bunch of miles on the engine, where the shocks were worn in a little bit, so they had, I don't know if you want to call it an advantage, but there was definitely they weren't on level playing fields with the miles on the engine and everything else. It was very different. So to see everything on a level playing field in 2014 for the start of that race is going to be very different, and I think it's going to be pretty cool, actually. What we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and take our final break. When we come back on the other side, going to talk about what's coming up this weekend, take a look at the racing calendar. Plus, we'll also talk a little bit about what's coming up next week on this program and talk to you about what's coming up on tomorrow's version of the Pit Pass. Different day. Yeah, I was getting over the flu, so it's coming up tomorrow where we'll talk NASCAR a whole lot more. Do me a favor. Don't go anywhere. You know why? Well, it's because you're shifting gears right here on the American Racing Network.
This is ARN, the American Racing Network.
Hey guys, it's your buddy Lugnuts, and if you're looking to build a great website, then look no further than Apollo Aesthetics. Art and functionality merged into web design. It doesn't get any better than Ruben Asuna. Don't believe me? Check out ApolloAesthetics.com. That's Apollo, AESTHETICS.com. Apollo Aesthetics, the official web builder of Lugnuts Radio.
Lobster, harvested from the cold, clear waters of Maine, is truly the world's ultimate white meat. It has a distinctive flavor that's both mild and slightly sweet, and is so easy to prepare. Maine lobster is good for you too. It's one of the healthiest and leanest proteins available, containing less fats, calories, and cholesterol than beef, pork, or even the light meat of chicken. For exciting recipes, visit our website at mainelobsterpromo.com.
This is ARN, the American Racing Network. Shifting Gears on ARN is presented by Stash Feed. Get the feed. Log on to StashFeed.com, your daily manly feed. Your Shifting Gears on ARN, the Motorsports Authority. Here's Alan Bailey.
As a kid, I remember the old Speedway Motel and watching Closed Circuit, watching the times very closely, seeing where Dad and my grandfather ended up. I mean, and Jeff and John at that point. I mean, there was 4 of them, so it was definitely a family affair at that point. IMS is a home away from home for me. I mean, growing up, I spent a month out of the year, every year of my life pretty much there, so a lot of time spent there, a lot of good memories, a lot of, tough memories, because our family's been extremely dominant at that place, just with one single win, so I think between the 3 of us, we've let a lot of races go there already. So that part about it's frustrating. But the flip side of that coin is that it fuels me even more every year I come out there, that we're knocking on the door and we fall short for whatever reason. You just want to make it happen so bad.
You can hear it right there in his voice, and if you haven't figured it out, that's Marco Andretti. He's going to be our very special guest on next week's edition of Shifting Gears. He'll be joining us, talking about not only the Indianapolis 500 and what it means to him, not only as a driver, but as somebody who's been to Indianapolis for so many years, seen his grandfather, seen his father race on that circuit, only to not have a shot ultimately at Victory Lane. Even in his rookie year in 2006, coming up very short, literally, within the last couple hundred feet of the start-finish line, to winning that race and breaking the curse of Andretti at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, still vacant in that win department. We'll talk to him about what it'll mean to him to win at Indianapolis and kiss the bricks in the Indy 500. You're not going to want to miss that one. It's coming up next Wednesday, 1 week from tonight at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 Eastern, right here on ARN, the American Racing Network. What we're going to do now shift gears again, actually. We're going to take one last look back at Jeff Gordon's victory, but we're going to let him tell you the story. Let's listen in to what Jeff Gordon had to say about what turned out to be a very important win for him, not only to boost his confidence for picking up win number 89 of his career, but also picking up a victory that secures him a spot in the 2014 chase.
Ready to go for 400 miles in the Great Plains tonight. This is the first night Sprint Cup race in Kansas.
Jeff Gordon 1 year ago was talking about retiring. Now he's talking about winning his 5th championship. That team's on a roll. They're fast.
All right, here we go, bud. Let's rip them apart tonight. Here we go. The leader is going good.
Jeff Gordon is on a tear. He's caught Kurt Busch. This will be for 6th place. Gordon started 13th.
The car was good right from the beginning. We saw early on that Harvick was going to be the car to beat. You know, I felt like we just needed track position and to get up there to compete with him.
2nd place, Jeff Gordon. Came off that turn like he was shot out of a cannon.
I think he may be a match for the 4th.
We got into 2nd place, and I was able to push the car the hardest that I had throughout the whole race.
Jeff Gordon edges ever closer.
Got pretty excited. I could just tell the car was really, really good. And then he adjusted his line and kind of pulled away from me a little bit, and I was like, all right, he's going to be tough to beat.
No trouble there in turn 4. Caution is out. Aflame is Jamie McMurray.
Save gas. We're right on the window. They take a bit as Jamie's car's on pit road.
For Jeff Gordon and everybody else that need to get onto pit road to get Sunoco fuel, won't happen this lap. It is still closed as cleanup continues.
How far do I have that do I have 2 laps? Yeah, I'd say so.
I was pretty nervous. I know Alan and the guys on the team were very, very nervous.
I appreciate the track cleanup crew and everything they do, but I was like, man, I was wanting to go down and get a broom myself and start sweeping it up.
Luckily, it worked out. We saw just how good a fuel mileage we're getting tonight.
2 tenths on a bad lap. Doing good right here.
Jeff Gordon has been knocking tenths out of Kevin Harvick's lead.
And we're going to see a lot of these drivers starting to make green flag pit stops.
You want me to come this time? Yes, pit this time.
And the leader is in, Kevin Harvick to the pit lane.
Didn't think the 4 car had a stellar stop, and he didn't, because as they come back out on the track, the 24 just went by Kevin Harvick going down the back straightaway.
And I knew at that moment, oh, it's on. You know, he's not going to be easy to keep behind me, but the only chance we have of winning this race is right now.
Anytime we had clean track, we could pull away, and it seemed like anytime we caught traffic, he would make up some time, and in certain instances, it was significant time.
Getting past Hamlin took a lot out of Jeff Gordon's lead, less than half a second.
I remember a day when lap cars, you came up on them, they moved over, and you kind of went by in your lane. These days, I don't know what lane they're going to run. They just run right in the middle of the track.
Jeff Gordon will be looking at the white flag. Harvick got a great run down the back straightaway.
His car must have started coming in at that time because he really gained that last lap. Certainly made me nervous.
Off turn 4, win number 89 for Jeff Gordon by 2 car lengths over Kevin Harvick.
Yeah, buddy. You can't keep us down that long. How does that feel, boys? That weight that just lifted off of our shoulders.
You know, I don't feel like I've been at my best the last few years. This year I've been really inspired. I feel like the race cars are to my liking, and I'm able to be aggressive and push hard. I'm having fun. The whole team, we're just in sync. And it's showing week in and week out, and certainly showed tonight with that win.
From retirement to basically championship form in less than a year. I remember a year ago on the Pit Pass, we were talking about how, well, Jeff Gordon's going to hang it up at the end of the year. He's going to hang it up at the end of next year. He's only got a couple years in him. Who knows how much longer he's going to do this. And now a year later, we're thinking, championship number 5? I mean, it's very early on in the season for Jeff Gordon to start thinking about that 5th championship, but it's something that everybody has to start thinking about now. Not just a 5th championship for Jeff Gordon, but what it's going to take to basically even contend when it comes down to Homestead. You look at every driver. They don't know what Homestead and what the road to Homestead is going to be. Those last 10 weeks of the NASCAR season are going to be hell. They might as well just call it Hell's Racing, because it's going to be absolute murder. It's going to be very difficult. It's going to be stressful. It's going to be dramatic. It's going to be bloodthirsty. It's going to be brutal. You're not going to see guys pulling over for anybody. We're seeing a little bit of that hostile racing now, but to me, it has the feeling of any second now, this could get dramatically different. Something could change, and something can just make everybody get a lot more aggressive, a lot more bloodthirsty, brutal. It has that feel that, yeah, the drivers are all watching their P's and Q's now, but as soon as it's time, you can sense it, that every driver is going to get more aggressive. Every driver is going to turn it up a notch and just show no mercy. And it has the feeling of, when is that going to happen? I mean, some people think that's going to happen right as the chase is starting. I think it's going to start happening sometime this summer. Not with the guys who were in the chase, but with the guys who were on the outside looking in. There's quite a few drivers who are still in need of a win in order to secure their chase position. And you look at it right now, the drivers that have more or less qualified for the chase, you have Logano and Harvick with 2 wins. You have Gordon, Edwards, Kyle and Kurt Busch, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Keselowski, and Hamlin. Those are your drivers right there. You're looking at really not even 10 drivers right there. That's big. Well, you have Logano, Harvick, you have Logano, Harvick, Gordon, Edwards, Kyle, Kurt, Jr., Keselowski, Hamlin. You have 9 drivers who have more or less secured their spot in the 16-car chase. I'm doing my math here. You have 9 drivers in the chase, or have secured, quote-unquote, their spots. 9. You have Charlotte, Dover. You have Pocono, Michigan, Sonoma, Kentucky, 6. Daytona, you have New Hampshire, you have Indianapolis, so 9 so far. 9. You have Pocono again, you have Watkins Glen, so 11. You have Michigan, Bristol, Atlanta. I mean, I'm going down the list right now. And then you have Richmond. You have 14 weeks, essentially, about 14 weeks, to mess this up. So, in theory, if we have more drivers win races, which is a possibility. We could see just these 9 continue to win races, which is unlikely, or we can see another 10, let's just say, in the next 14 weeks go on to win races. At that point, you have 19 drivers for 16 chase spots. It's points at that point. And the only person that really has any breathing room is no one. Any one of these drivers can fall out of the chase. Everybody keeps assuming and keeps saying, oh, well, there you go. They won another race, so that Jeff Gordon, he's in the chase. Yeah, he's fine. You look at it realistically. Kurt Busch is in danger of not making the chase at this particular moment on May 14th. Why? He only has 1 win, and he's right at the cusp of the cutoff. Yeah. After 11 races, he's right there at that cutoff. Yeah, he's 9th in the standings, technically, but really, he could get cut off at any second. And then, uh-oh, he's out of the chase. Oops. Yeah, I mean, right now, Kenseth, Johnson, Newman, Biffle, Vickers, Larson, and Dillon are the ones who are in. Kane, Allmendinger, Menard, Ambrose, Boyer, and Allmendinger are the ones who are on the outside looking in, if you subscribe to that notion. Excuse me, Amarola, not Allmendinger. So really, it's one of those things where I'm not counting the 16th. I'm not keeping my eye right now on 16th in points as if it were a big deal, because at this particular point, it's not. It really isn't. It's a matter of, let's get another 10 races in, and with 5 or so to go, then we'll start freaking out, then we'll start looking at everything. We'll see what happens. That's going to do it for this edition of Shifting Gears right here on the American Racing Network. My name is Alan Bailey. Don't miss next week's edition of Shifting Gears, as we'll have Marco Andretti joining us to talk about his family's legacy at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, preview the Indianapolis 500, the 89th running of the Indianapolis 500, and talk about his fond memories of that racetrack and some of his not-so-fond memories from that racetrack. Check out the Pit Pass special time and date tomorrow, 3 p.m. Pacific. That is 6 Eastern, right here on ARN.
Check out arnrace.com to keep up with the latest news, photos, podcasts, and interviews from the track. You've been Shifting Gears on ARN, the American Racing Network. Broadcasting from the ARN Racing Studios in Southern California, ARN, Los Angeles. This is ARN, the American Racing Network.